Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a meeting of the Warrant and Finance Committee for Wednesday, the 25th of April, 2018. And with no further ado, we shall begin. The town administrator had asked to go ahead and to come before us to clarify some changes that have been made in the draft of the warrant since the last time we met last week, and so I will turn it over to her, but ask her to speak very slowly so everyone can take good notes.
Thank you. So everybody should be looking at a warrant that has a watermark of April 25th. That's the document that I passed out. Okay. The very first page there's a change on is page 27. I personally highlighted the articles that changed so they would be easy for you to see in all of your copies at the table. In the audience, I didn't quite get to that many copies. So we're looking at Article 35. Does everybody find Article 35 that's highlighted? Tom, Roland?
Yep. Yes. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, just want to make sure. So this article used to be a fire department capital improvement account of $5,000 that you guys voted on last week.
That was the last article that we voted on.
That's correct. So when the meeting ended last week, I was left with direction from you that you were looking for additional information on how the fire department wanted to spend that $5,000.
Correct.
So I spoke to the fire chief, and he indicated that he was actually looking for building maintenance emergency fund and not capital improvement. He was looking for things that he could spend this year based on emergencies that might happen. I took that information back to the Board of Selectmen, and we referenced Article 14, which allows the Board of Selectmen to expend up to $15,000 in an emergency. Because we have only used that money once in 8 years, we removed the fire department's $5,000 article altogether. So it is out. The article that you see there now, the Acton Public Access Television, was simply moved from the back of the warrant up. Do you want to go through all the changes first?
Just take them one at a time. You're doing fine.
Does anybody have any questions? You're good on that one. The next change is down to Article 37, also highlighted in yellow for you. This account was the current winter overdraft. You're going to see that that's completely been removed, and it's now replaced with a rec article. The town of Acton has already gone over their 15% as allowed by law. We actually have another bill because of how winter looked like it was going. The guys had to order some more salt. So we were over the 15%, which means we are going to be required to have a special town meeting to rectify that account. We cannot wait until June. So that article was completely taken out. The board will discuss a special town meeting next week. And again, this rec department article was simply taken from the back. It shows articles that you had not yet visited.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay, Article 38. The change in Article 38 is a matter of a couple of words. In your old article, your old copy, it read, wages to be paid at the rate of 1.5 time and a half, on major holidays and after 8 consecutive hours of work when plowing and sanding. The Board of Selectmen had a conversation in looking at the winter maintenance that was already over the 15% allocated by law, and had conversations with their attorney regarding 8 hours versus a 40-hour work week. So they made the change for the article to now read, wages to be paid at the rate of time and a half on major holidays and when plowing and sanding. Because these are town employees, we have a personnel policy that regulates overtime and how they're paid. So it's taken out of the warrant article. So that is the only change on Article 38. Now you're going to go to the second to last page, page 33. You can see Article 72 is highlighted. The only change here that I've handwritten in, because we took out that $5,000 capital improvement account, we certainly removed it from the list of accounts that need to be carried forward. So that has just been deleted.
The whole article has been deleted.
No, the fire department capital improvement has been deleted.
Okay.
If you turn your warrant over, you will see the last 4 articles are highlighted. The only reason those are highlighted is because the number actually changed. When we took 2 articles out, Towards the end of it, certainly numbers are going to shift up. We did our best to change as few as possible. There used to be 78 articles, now you have 76. And those are the changes.
73 is 75, was the old 75. 74 is the old 76. 75 is the old 77. And 76 is the old 78. One other question, since we voted on Article 35 of the old copy, can we go ahead and have a motion to delete our decision on the old 35?
Absolutely, it's a mute anyways because the article's not even on the warrant, so the
Right, but
vote
we
was
need to
irrelevant.
explain what we have done.
Sure, if you'd like.
So if I could hear a motion to,
Motion to delete.
Second.
Recommendation on Article 35
on 35 of the old
of the April 6th draft warrant.
draft warrant, and it's been seconded. Any further discussion? It's been moved and seconded that the Article 35 that was present on the draft that we used at the last meeting, which was on the
April 6th
6th
warrant. April 6th warrant.
April
6th draft.
warrant be deleted. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by raising your hand. All opposed? Fine. All right, so the next is going to be the new 35, to see if the town will raise and appropriate a sum of $34,544 for wages and operational costs of the Acton Public Access TV, also known as APAT Department 111.
Make a motion, we accept the article as drafted.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the article as written on the new 35.
They've gone up some,
They've gone up some, yes.
just a little, just shy of $100, so
Okay, so that's a small percentage.
it's a small percentage.
Any other discussion or questions? All in favor signify by raising your hand. Any opposition? So be it. So the vote is 6-0 in favor of as written. The next is Article 36, to see if the town will vote and raise to appropriate $45,208 for public safety to be expended as follows, and it includes streetlights, animal control, communications, and the emergency director for a total of $45,208.
Recommend the article as drafted.
That's a motion?
Yes.
A motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Article 36 in this latest draft be accepted for the public safety expenditures, as I mentioned just a few moments ago. Any further discussion or questions? If not,
I'm just trying to
excuse
find
me.
last year's article, and because they got moved around, I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, and if I may, per your request, this was one of the other articles that you asked for additional information on. So we
Right.
did take time to sit down and interview the EMA director.
Oh,
We took the
yes.
time to reach out to the county. I've pulled all the state statutes for you regarding this particular position. You're going to see that pursuant to 37B, the municipalities need and requirement to appoint this. The statute does not list any specific qualifications that he or she must have. We've had the current EMA director since 2011. You can see some of the responsibilities on the back. You can see some of the qualifications of our current EMA director and what he currently has to offer the town of Acton. So that is a very impressive resume for a person in this position, so we are lucky to have him.
They only went up a little bit, about just a little bit, $5,000 from last year.
Huh?
They went up about $1,000 from last year.
I don't think so.
Well, they had 44,005, and
Yeah,
now we got
we're just talking about the EMA director.
Well, no, I'm talking about the article itself.
Overall,
Yeah,
it's, a minor
as I said,
increase.
it's minor going up.
Any other discussion or questions? All right, all in favor of Article 36 as presented, signify by raising your hand. Any opposition? So done, approved 6-0 as written. New Article 37 is now to see if the town will vote to raise $12,963 and appropriate up to $16,363 for the operation of the Recreation Department, with $3,400 to come from anticipated revenues.
They went up minimal. They only went up about $800 roughly.
I need to have a motion first before we should
Motion.
discuss it.
Motion to recommend the article as drafted.
As drafted, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion now? Please, Ms.
What I was
Michaud.
going to say is they only went up about $800.
Right. And their other fund is intact, and there's no idea that they're going to be spending any money out of that, right? The $37,000.
Capital improvements not at this time. They'll have to
Capital
come,
improvements going
they'll
to
have to
stay the
come
way
forward
it
to
is.
expend, correct.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor of Article 37 as written, please raise your hand. Any opposition? Approved as written, 6-0. Next is Article 38. 38 is to see if the town will vote to pay wages and equipment for repair and maintenance of public ways according to the following schedule. And the schedules are listed, and there is no further items except for a change from the original draft that we used last week. Wages to be paid at the rate of 1.5 times on major holidays and when plowing and sanding, in accordance with our already personnel policies, yes.
Motion to accept the article as drafted.
There's been a motion to accept the draft. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion or questions? to be
Yes.
asked? Yes. Proceed, please, Mr.
With the change, does that mean that if they are plowing 1 hour, they're being paid time and a half?
No, what it means is that if they go out in one calendar week and only work 10 hours in the same storm, currently they would get paid straight time for the 8 hours and 2 hours of time and a half. What it means now is that if it's just a regular day, it's 10 hours of straight time. They have to be over 40 hours to get time and a half.
Thank you for the explanation.
So that it's in compliance with the other employees of the town is basically what it is.
Just a question.
Okay, it's fine. We appreciate your asking.
I see no minimal change. I think it was the same as it was last year, so I don't see.
Except for that particular piece.
Yep.
Any further questions or comments? All right, all in favor of Article 38 as written with the additional sentence in there compared to the last draft, signify by raising your hand. All opposed? Approved as written. Ms. Ruse, 6-0. The next is Article 39. To see if the town will vote $250,732 and appropriate $276,100 with $25,368 to be appropriated from the state LRAP funds for surfacing reconstruction for District 1 roads to be expended as follows. Winter maintenance, $84,183. Summer maintenance, $92,917. And District 1 resurfacing or reconstruction at $99,000. May I hear
Make a motion, we accept Article 39 as written.
there is a motion to accept Article 39 as written.
Second.
It's been seconded, open for discussion. I'd like to start the discussion, if I might, and then I will listen to everyone else. As far as District 1 is concerned, District 1 did not spend but about half the money during last fiscal year and carried over some $49,000 into this fiscal year. This fiscal year, District 1 has only spent about half the money again, such that his year-to-date balance is somewhere in the range of $110,000 that have been unspent for this year and last year. In addition to that, we have asked on 3 different occasions for him to come before us and discuss this with us and give us an anticipated list of projects that he plans to do with these monies, and he's refused to come. He's been asked 3 times prior to each of our meetings, and has refused to come and said he will settle it on the floor of the town meeting in June. I will now shut up and listen to other members for questions and comments. Mr. Gore.
Just very quickly, if you flip the page over to the next, and I assume that this is part of the article that we're referring to, there's a provision in here that unexpended balances in District 1 summer maintenance and District 1 road surfacing and reconstruction accounts are to be carried forward. So that would be from this year to the subsequent fiscal year.
That's
And I
correct.
assume
And that
is-
balance as of the 18th of this month was $117,309.
I guess the next question is that somewhat similar to the balance in the previous year at the end of the year?
At the end of the year, last year, he had 49,897.
So in effect, what we have here is accumulated excesses, is that correct?
Correct, over 2 years.
There's actually almost 4 years there. So you can see the road reserve history, you can see the different districts and what they were budgeted, what went into the reserve, and how much they actually expended. So you can see 4 years worth.
So it's accumulating, basically.
Correct. And
To a point now where it's over 100,000.
I did speak to Mr. Mooney again today, and he did indicate to me that he had some major projects coming up and expected to expend a lot of that down before June 30th.
And we're supposed to guess what the projects are. Yes, ma'am.
I thought he sort of gave us a rundown when he did come in on the Saturday. But also, if the funds are carried forward, do they have to be appropriated as well?
No, these are carryover funds.
All right.
So all we're looking at is to officially carry them over, number one, and number two, to approve the new fiscal year budget of 18-19 in the sum of 84,000, 92,000, and 99,000.
I actually think if they're carried, they have to be appropriated in the subsequent fiscal year too. The
I would
selectmen
think
need an
so.
authorization to expend that money
Right.
Yes,
in the next fiscal year, so.
and/or specifically, or
Carried and appropriated.
specifically not to do it.
And he's correct. In Article 39, it says to raise and then to appropriate, so that's corrected. Whatever's used next year is appropriated again.
Comments?
My only comment would be, well, I don't necessarily agree with him not coming to meet with us. My opinion is that he's still offering a service to the town, and he is an elected official, and without these funds, he's unable to do his job and serve the people of Acton, and if the people in that district are unhappy, then they can make that voice heard by voting, but I think that for us to not approve this would seriously be a disservice to the town. So,
Well, the track record is that he only spends half of the monies that he has anyway, number one. And number two, I think it's wrong of us to condone the appropriations as a block grant without knowing what he's going to use them for, what his anticipated projects are for the year, and he refuses to do this. And I will not vote in favor of anything if he's not going to tell us what he's going to do with the money.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
one of our selectmen are in the audience. Can she answer anything for us?
if she has anything to offer, and this is a public meeting, where as far as we're concerned, if you have something to add,
You have nothing
Ms.
else?
Stacy Horn, please come forward and
As she's coming up, I can tell you that as their administrator, all the communications go through me, so I even told you, I mean, what Kim knows is exactly what I've told
Right.
you.
Right, I
He
mean,
hasn't-
I don't
he
know
has-
what he has for projects and stuff. I would assume.
Yeah,
It's
he just
spring.
hasn't given
well,
me, so.
he's refused to meet with the Board of Selectmen as well.
Just for clarification purposes, the only explanation that Mr. Mooney gave as far as what his plans were, if you looked at the original budget, it said Sandpage Road 3 times. What he's going to do on Sandpage Road is question.
Which end?
Nobody knows, except Mr. Mooney. But he did outline Sandpage Road as being a project 3 times on the original budget request. and I'm sure that he is going to bring that up
Well, I would hope so.
when
I
we
mean,
get to the meeting.
we're talking about giving him 185,000 as far as the carryovers, in addition to these monies that are going to be appropriated for this fiscal year. That's a lot of money. I would hope he would tell somebody what he's going to do with them.
Call the question. Unless there's further discussion.
Unless there's further discussion or questions down here at this end. Yes, we're, address that to us, though, not to any, no, you may, but address it to us and not to anybody else.
On this warrant, I guess, and all the warrants, who writes the warrants? I'm sorry? Bob Brohan, sorry.
These were
Who
written
wrote
by-
this warrant? In
These
other
were-
words,
These were written by the Board of Selectmen as drafts.
Okay.
And they've made changes as
I mean,
they have gone
because
through it.
normally a budget, when you have a budget for something, you don't usually carry it forward.
It's been a tradition that monies that are in the pot at the end of the fiscal year can be carried over for these two road
Certain
commissioners.
accounts.
That's a very recent evolution, only within the past few years.
But at least in
has
the
that
past 4
happened.
years, it's been that way.
It could be. I'm inclined to agree with you, and that is a traditional way it's been done. It's an operating budget. It should expire and
Go back into the
start
undesignated.
from the beginning. What happened last year during the course of the town meeting was I made a motion on the floor to do that, to roll those funds over to the undesignated fund balance. What I didn't understand in doing that was that Scott had planned on spending those monies in the latter part of the summer. And since that had been previously approved by the Board of Selectmen, he was assuming that he was going to be able to do that. I withdrew the motion at that point in time because there was considerable confusion in the hopes that this would be resolved as we move forward. It hasn't been. So here we are again dealing with the same type of scenario. But you're correct, an operating budget should go into the undesignated fund balance. That having been said, I have one other possible.
Just a second,
option as
this
we
man may have a
approach
different,
this. Okay, I'm sorry.
another question.
No,
Yes.
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else from the audience have a question? Go ahead, Mr. Gore. Oh, excuse me.
Oh, I don't know, I think that it started when they were not sure of the funds being granted for paving, and sometimes their bids went out, and, well, they got the bids for the paving work too late for it to be completed in that fiscal year.
I know
And so
that some of
they've
that
been
happened.
sort of-
Yeah. David is going to fill us in, I think.
I am going to fill you in.
Mr. Winchell, please go
I
ahead.
am the fellow there that, back in the day, presented this to the selectmen. The reason why we had done it is, every year, you leave so much in your budget for your general maintenance, for your spring cleanup and all this and that. And what would end up happening is, if we had a springtime that would go, like this year, that doesn't stop, and then you got that very little period of time, to expend those funds. And what would end up happening is, you don't want to be too tight on it, but, you want to get down to the point where, it's almost impossible to zero it out perfectly. So what was ended up happening was, like myself, I leave so much in my account in case there's an unexpected bill or something unexpected comes in. But then what happens if I leave that money in there, say $3,000 or $4,000, which is not a lot of money, you lose it. So when I came to the selectmen, I says, it's kind of silly that we don't want to feel like we have to go in this mad dash to go buy materials. That's what I used to do. What I would do is I look at my budget and go, okay, I got $6,000 left here. I got 2 weeks. We're not going to make this mad dash, go spend it. I'd call up a gravel company. They'd deliver gravel to the thing, and we'd use it for the next fiscal year. So we didn't lose that money because, every $1,000 counts. But sometimes the weather doesn't cooperate and this and that. So there is reasons behind that. So that's what it came, and of course with the paving part of it, on the surplus on the paving, well, I hate to say surplus, but with the unexpended funds is, you do a road project, they do it by the ton. it's not exact, so they figure this many tons, so what you do is you normally shorten it up a little bit, because you don't wanna go over the number, but you can have $10,000-15,000 sitting in that account, and you don't wanna lose it. So that was another reason behind that, so we can, do that the next year. And it worked for me, that project on the Hopper Road, we were able to do a lot further project because we were able to do that. But that's the reason and why.
I guess I would suggest in that scenario that having $4,000, $5,000 at the end of the year is fine to let it lapse. I think probably if that's a concern, you ought to be building that into the next budget and just let that.
Well, the problem is, Tom, if you look at our budgets, there was 1 year out of the last 9 that we were able to make an actual substantial increase in it. So the problem is, if you were allowed to, go in and put in a number that you feel that you're gonna be able to work with on something that, if I'm still road commissioner next year, this year, that, be able to anticipate the next project coming along. Today I went and priced out paving the second phase of my Hopper Road project, and I don't have enough money in my next year's budget and with my rollover to do to where I wanna go.
I hear what you're saying. I think this is something that the selectmen have to figure out how to get the books closed.
So what we did, I guess, to answer your question and comment to what you were talking about was, if we were able to do that budget in every year like that, it'd be another story. But when you're not able to, you want to keep every dime you can keep,
No, I understand.
So, it's, and like I said, the problem is with the general maintenance part of it is, there's a lot of bills that come in. We have some vendors that aren't very good at sending bills, and we gotta call them, and they'll send them, but sometimes they're a little later on in the fiscal year. The selectmen liked us, well, they try to get most departments to stop spending, and I think it's June 1st, something like that. June 1st, we can't do that because, with all the stuff that we've got to do with road grading and street sweeps, but you accumulate costs, but you've got to keep that little fluff, there to make sure that something unexpected don't come in. But we don't want to lose it though.
I think you might be missing one point here.
Yeah.
We're on a modified accrual method of accounting. That means that the money is actually spent when the service is performed, not when the bill comes in. Okay, so.
Yes.
All right.
But
We don't need to get into this
for
next-
good housekeeping, we like to have everything.
And we bill it accordingly. I mean, we always have one final warrant in the new year, which we'll have prior, so we are billing based on the date of service. That's not what he was saying.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
aware of that. I was just.
Yeah,
I
no,
just
we
wanted
just
David-
like to make sure by the June 30th deadline that all bills are paid, but that unexpected bill comes in the week before,
And we pay
and
on
you want to
it,
make
yeah.
sure, and we keep track of it. I don't want to say unexpected. You don't know they're all there, just haven't received it yet. And so it's just for good bookkeeping, but we just, to lose a few thousand here and there. I think it's good that by doing this to a certain point, that you don't have people just spending money just because they want to get rid of it. Okay, I think it makes more sense to do it where we're doing it.
And you've been very careful and very consistent through years. I don't have any problem.
Oh, no, I just wanted to explain why we did
Appreciate it.
this back in the day.
I
It's just like the LRAP, the LRAP funds back in the day. The LRAP funds used to go into the general surplus. We were able to get that, so it finally goes in where it belongs. We just tried to make things a little bit more easy for accounting.
Mr. Chair, personally, David has done a really good job in giving us all the information he needs for his side of town and what's going on.
No, I know
issue-
that.
the
There's-
issue
There's
is
there's
the
absolutely no
other side.
problem with District 2 here. We're talking about District 1.
No.
And if the committee feels that it's unreasonable to do anything to this person as far as the purse strings, so be it. But with the $250,000 for this coming fiscal year, added to the $185,000 that are still in the carryover from this year and last year, the District 1 Road Commissioner will have $435,000 at his disposal, and he refuses to give us the list of anticipated projects. And if you all think it's wise, as the guardians of the town money, to give monies out like that without knowing why and what he's going to use them, fine, but I'm not going to vote that way. Yes, sir.
I'm going to offer a compromise here that may
Okay.
get us past this,
All right.
and then Scott can come to the town meeting and explain what he wants to do.
Which he says he's going to do.
I'm looking at this, and it looks like we have a balance of a little over $100,000 that he wants to carry forward. So why don't we, this is not...
Now, that's only, listen, that District 1 repair and maintenance is 117. He's also carrying over 67,000 in terms of his surfacing and reconstruction.
Right.
His total carryover is 185,000. Okay?
Okay, what I was going to suggest was simply that we decrease the appropriation, the amount raised and the total appropriation by 100 or maybe $150,000, and let Scott come up. We can make that recommendation, and then Scott can come to the meeting and explain why he wants the other, okay? That gets the message across, all right? And it gives Scott the opportunity to come and present the case. Does that make sense to anybody? The other is just to vote for it or against it.
Well, it makes sense, but I tell you, I feel like I'm committing malfeasance if I vote as a block grant to give to somebody who refuses to tell me what he's going to use it for.
What were you gonna say, Jen?
So the article that you're voting on now, Article 39, for the upcoming article, remember, he has indicated that he has met with FR Carroll, this came from him today, that he's met with FR Carroll and that he has major projects and he's going to dwindle that down in all of May and June. The Board of Selectmen do have some of the same concerns you do, so their thought is they will probably support the article as is, but you always have the option on the carry forward article, on Article 72, to make a recommendation to not carry forward maybe the District 1 summer maintenance, if that's the direction you're going in, so that if he does spend it down this year, as he's indicated that he's going to with these projects he's working on in all of May and June, he'll still have a budget going into next year.
Okay, can I ask a question? Because we're on Article 39 here, and on the second page of that, we have unexpended balances of District 1 are to be carried, and so do we have them carried in two places?
It looks like it's been printed twice, yes, but that can be removed.
Okay.
It's just
So-
information. I can double check with the treasurer and the board if they want to remove that, because it's a duplicate from being in Article 73.
All right, so,
There's no reason for it to be printed there because it's not asking there.
well, that's why I asked if it was supposed to be part of the article, and I understand that the answer.
I think it may just be factual, but I think that if it causes confusion, it can certainly be removed, and I'll double check with the board and treasurer tomorrow.
You're talking about the four lines
This-
at
no,
the top
this-
of
this
page
right here.
29?
Yes, the top
Those
two
four
lines.
These two.
Two lines.
Well, as board's recommendation and our recommendation is the third and fourth line. Okay, it's just redundancy. That part doesn't bother me. What bothers me is voting on stuff that we have no idea how it's going to be spent. So, any further discussions? Did you want to make an amendment to this?
I guess
There's
I
a
would.
motion already been made and seconded.
Yes, but
Can we-
if there's an amendment, that'll come next, and then the final one. So, we've had discussions here in opposition to various pieces of this. If I do not hear a further discussion and a motion to amend this, I will ask for a vote. All in favor of Article 39 as written, signify by raising your hand. 2, all opposed.
I'm gonna abstain. I'm sorry, Jen. I'm abstaining because I want more information. I want Scott to be able to show what's going on. I don't want to say no because it's important that, obviously, for the roads.
Well, if we're going to have a special meeting anyway,
And
that
the
can
other
be
thing
decided
is-
even at that special meeting, Ms. Michaud.
Should we allow one of the alternates? But my concern is that there's not a legal reason for an abstention. There's no
legal reason
conflict.
she's not participating in the road commission.
You know,
What?
we're still going to allow Scott to explain this and recover it. We're not depriving him, but we're sending him a message saying we need this explained to us, that's all.
If he goes to the town meeting and gives it the projects that he plans on doing, the town voters will probably go ahead and approve at least most of it, what he's asking for. All I'm saying is that as far as our committee is concerned, we have a lot of money in the kitty already, and he wants another $250,000, and we have absolutely no idea, other than he's going to work on which road?
Same page.
Sam Page, okay? That's all we know.
Can we recall the vote again, please?
I'm sorry?
Can we recall the vote again, please?
I will go ahead, we're not finished with the vote, so let's start it again if that's all right. All in favor of the article as written, signify by raising your hand. We have one vote. All against, raise your hand.
Nancy, where do you stand? Thank you.
We have 5. So 1 to 5, you have that number?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, any further discussions on this as far as making any other amendments to that? Then we'll go to, yes, sir.
I will make a recommendation
Mm-hmm.
that the Warrant and Finance Committee recommend raising $100,732.
Say that number again, please, now.
$100,732 and appropriating $176,100. Fund Article 39, and then we'll be able to vote to carry the
I guess point of clarification, Mr. Chair, the
I
Warrant and
need-
Finance
the
has
chair
already
needs some
voted.
clarification.
I mean,
here,
you've already
too.
voted on the motion,
Yes.
so you want two different motions printed on the
I
warrant?
asked for
You asked for an amendment, there
amendments,
wasn't one.
and nobody gave me
So
any.
the vote was 1 to 5.
Okay.
Next article.
All right, Article 40. To see if the town will vote to raise $250,732 and appropriate $276,100 with $25,368 to be appropriated from the state LRAP funds for servicing and reconstruction for District Number 2. May I hear a motion, please?
Motion, accept the article as written.
There is a motion that's been moved and seconded on Article 40 to accept it as written. Any discussion or questions? All in favor of approving Article 40 as written, raise your hand. All opposed? That's 6-0, 6 in favor, 0 against. Number 41, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate $147,460 for shared road accounts.
Same as last year.
Same as last year. Now, there's one thing that that I did get, and perhaps I'm wrong, but it's a small number, 2,000 some odd dollars. Mr. Winchell said for the gravel is no longer needed, and it was more of a pain than anything else to even have it. So is this where we would vote to take that number off?
Mr. Winchell? I have no idea what they're talking about.
I'm sorry. Did I understand correctly, Mr. Winchell, before when we talked with you, when we asked about the gravel, that the gravel was more pain than it was worth, and that you had no problems with taking that $2,000 off that line item?
This is a joint account, right?
Yeah, this
Both of them are
is a joint account, so that was kind of the issue, because, if you
Yeah.
say, I want to use more of it, this and that, pretty much any process I've done since, I pulled right out of my general maintenance. That way there, we don't have to worry about who's using what gravel, this and that.
Okay.
It just, so to me, I think what I suggested at the last Warrant Finance meeting was, to delete this account, that account was supposed to be built back up to some point so that we can use the money for reclaiming. I believe at this point here that, when we get to that point, there would be something that we just do at town floor.
Thank you, sir.
Put on a warrant article.
Okay.
Mayor, did you speak to the treasurer about lowering that amount?
Lower
So I guess I just want to make sure, because if we can save a few dollars somewhere and a number can be adjusted,
Where are we talking?
they're talking about lowering, they think that you're telling them to lower one of these numbers from the
No.
gravel.
No.
No.
The listing that we have, and I don't know where the paper is right now for gravel,
Right.
That should be a different warrant anyway.
So it's not on, you're not talking about
it's
41?
not on here, but before we get away from.
Okay, yeah, we don't want to touch those numbers
Well, no, and
there.
that's what I
No.
read out the amounts on 41, so I just want to make
You
sure.
have that number for the gravel? It's
No, that would
2,000
be his-
something,
That would be his area,
It's like $2,800, I believe.
2,800
Yeah,
or
but
whatever?
it's not in Article 41.
So how can we do that?
How can we deal with 41?
I
You're
believe
off on a
that
tangent.
should be on the last, it should be on a carryover, I believe, because you have to vote it in every year to carry it over. see if I can figure out where the hell I
Right,
am.
gravel processing fund.
Yes,
Okay, then we'll get it at the end.
yeah,
Okay.
so that's where you voted out, yeah.
Thank you, sir. All right, next article, 147, 460 for shared road accounts. Stockpiles, sand, salt, public works, building equipment. This is unchanged, I think, is it not?
We're at Article
41.
41, right.
41.
Nope, it's unchanged.
May I have a motion?
Approve the article as drafted.
There is a
Second.
motion to approve and seconded Article 41 as written, to raise and appropriate $147,460 for shared road accounts. Any further discussion or questions?
Obviously, we should have an increase in the stockpile sand budget. It's not in here. We can't do anything about changing the figure that was submitted. But the overdraft that the town is looking at this year is quite substantial.
It's
In the
over the
future-
overdraft. It's over the 15%.
It's over, way over. In the future, we may need to see if the selectmen can't increase the amount of money that we use for stockpiling sand and salt.
So we-
Mr. Winchell, generally speaking, year after year after year, how often do you have to use that 15% overage?
Well, this is the first year that I've been road commissioner that we've actually gone over
Oh, really?
15%.
Okay, so it's an unusual event.
Yeah, the stockpile number, we go over the stockpile number. Every year we go over it. We went up to I think it was 90, I'm trying to think now off the top of my head here, but it was 90-some thousand dollars. We increased.
92.
Yeah, 92,000, that's correct.
Yeah.
And we increased it to the 32,000 because we were averaging that. Going by this year's number, the best way to do it, the way I do it, is like on the plowing and all that, I like to do a 3 or 4 year average. And the 3 or 4 year average, this is a number we come up with. This was one of those years I just wouldn't quit. And we would have been all right if it wasn't for the end of March, the 4 feet of snow, whatever we got, and we got a lot of ice this year. So myself, for the taxpayer, I believe it's better that we leave this number the way it is.
Okay.
And what we do is we just hope, we've got the 15%, we rely on that when we have a bad year. This is the first year that I believe in 9 years of being road commissioner that we've gone over it. And the only reason we went over it, it was my bad. We had that one last icy mess. I would look at the weather, we're out of salt. I did what anybody else would do, I ordered some just to have some on hand.
Sure.
And that put us over.
Okay,
So-
but it's an unusual event
It's
then.
an unusual event, so, for the taxpayer, it wouldn't be, I don't believe it'd be good for the taxpayer just to ask for more money and not use it.
Very
When we
good.
got the 15%, that's why we never asked for any more.
Thank you, sir.
But if we didn't use it, it could always be put back into.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're increasing your mill rate and everything for monies you may not be
I
using,
understand that,
so.
but you also offset the mill rate when you put it back in.
I would prefer not touching that number and increasing other stuff that we can use the money on, that we don't have the 15% to go over.
Just a suggestion.
Any other comments or questions from the committee? All right, all in favor of approving the motion to approve as written, signify by raising your hand. Any opposition? Approved 6-0. You have that, Ms. Rue?
Yes, sir.
Next one, Article 42, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $20,000 for the preliminary inspection and/or design of the road bridge on Hopper Road and any necessary small repairs on the bridge that may fall within this budget.
Recommend approval of the article as written.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 42. We're open for comments, questions.
Who is the inspection going to be carried out by?
David should have just stayed.
We
Pull
can
your
bring
cha-
we
pull
can
your
bring a
chair
chair
out.
up there
Pull
if you
your chair
want.
This money's here intended to, we're gonna put out the bid for an engineer to come down and do, a preliminary, on repair cost, or replacement. The bridge has been inspected by the state of New Hampshire and the state of Maine. I just got the one from New Hampshire. Maine, I'm not sure. Before I say it on TV, I believe I've got one, so. But what this money's intended for a preliminary, for an engineer to come in, give us what we've got to do, give us some cost, this and that. If he comes in and says, okay, he can give me some sort of, an idea, say we only spent $10,000 of it, then what happens is we're able to take some of this money and put it towards the repairs, which I can also do with my general maintenance
So it's
also.
not really an inspection, it's more like an estimate of the scope of work
Yeah,
that needs to be
yeah,
done?
they're gonna come in, we're gonna put out the bid, because we gotta do that by law, because it's over $5,000, and, have an engineer, pretty much do the project. It's pretty much for that part of it, give us an idea of fixing it, give us cost, tell us what we gotta do, put us in the right direction, and any money's left, we'll spend it on using it on the bridge itself for the repairs.
I think the notion here, for everybody, help everybody understand, is that we're going to have an engineer come down, a good engineer can walk into that bridge and usually pretty well assess it very quickly and very simply. Is it worth trying to salvage it, or should we not? And if it's worth trying to salvage, then maybe progress with some design work to accomplish that if it's possible. If he says it's not worth salvaging, start planning for replacement. And so that's where we are. We're right on the crux of that.
Well, I'd already met with, one engineer. It went a little further than I thought. I thought he was gonna come down and just, give me some ideas, this and that, and, it was free of cost at the time, and I figured out why, because he ended up sending me a package on,
I saw that.
yeah, you saw the package, okay? It's similar to that, because when these guys come in, you need the engineer on site anyways during the project when it's going on. So this is pretty much to get an engineer that's gonna go through the whole process while it's being either fixed or replaced. And the one that I had talked to, he had actually wrote in his quote, a preliminary design of the bridge, of, what we can put in there and rough cost. It's putting us in a direction where we need to go, so, and, yeah.
I guess my other question is it our town's responsibility, even though it's a shared bridge with New Hampshire?
Well, I believe that we have to take the first step into this. The problem we're having is Milton Mills is the other half of it.
Correct.
Milton Mills has 3 or 4 bridges ahead. Talking to the highway department over there, we're looking at like 20 years out before they're gonna even help us out. Because, they're already talking, they got one bridge right now that they've got scheduled for 2026. That's way out there, because they gotta wait for funding and this and that. When I talked to the highway department director down there, he kinda chuckled and says, yeah, probably not,
Highly motivated.
Well, they're motivated on 3 or 4 other bridges, and, they're working on some state stuff, this and that. And, so, we've had a lot of, this has been an ongoing issue, going on and on and on. That's why I feel that the only way we're gonna really get in the right direction is, by going this route. And, other than that, we can just spin our wheels like we have for the last 3 or 4 years.
Thank you. Ms. Hart?
We just got the bridge report for the row bridge, and it's now down to a 30. When a bridge gets under a 50 out of 100, it's a candidate for replacement and not to be repaired. So that's what we have to plan on. David did have a good engineer come down here from Augusta. However, we have 2 towns right next to us that are dealing with bridges also. Wakefield, who we're going to share some costs with on the canal bridge. And they may have someone local as an engineer that would be far better for us than having someone to travel down from Augusta. So I just, and we do know we're going to have to do work on it. and especially the maintenance, and that in regard to all our bridges.
So you, as a committee, approve of this article as written?
Oh, definitely, and I think you should have more money in it, because Milton is not going to help us on this bridge. This bridge handles 500 cars a day. These are our cars and our people commuting to work. We can't afford to lose that bridge.
Can I ask Cindy?
Yes.
Are the gravel trucks still using that bridge?
Yes, they are.
Oh, they are?
Yes, they are. And there's no enforcement there. And I think you were at the meeting when we got the realization that one of those loaded trucks is the equivalent of 10,000 cars. And these trucks are beating up our roads every day, which is a whole other thing I could get into, but when you look at these roads, we're paying for all these gravel pits and all this forestry to ride down these roads and break them up.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Winslow?
I was on the Hopper Road today, and I had two gravel trucks go through there so I will be making some phone calls, but we have changed the signs over to the GRVW, so they know, because I've already spoke to them once, I can't chase them down and give them a fine or nothing. This is something that, we're gonna have to, probably the selectmen and myself, we're gonna have to talk to our local deputy or state police, but, there have been some trucks running up through there, and they think they're legal, empty, they're not. I'm on it.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, David.
I have a comment. On this wording on 42, where it says preliminary inspection, should we take out inspection and say estimate?
Well, I don't think we've gotten a report that says that the bridge has to be replaced yet. Is that correct officially?
No, but he's saying he was getting.
No, I understand that,
It's
but
not an actual inspection.
It's not a preliminary one.
The inspection reports that I've gotten from New Hampshire, it's not on the red list. So in Maine, it's 30% or something like that.
30,
Yeah.
right.
And so at this point in time, it's not on the replacement. It's getting to the point where if we don't start doing some rehab to it.
I understand.
So when I had the engineer come down, he thought it was in fair condition. That's why he was, telling me that, they can give some ideas of fixing this and that. There's no doubt we could fix it, but to do it, he's gotta come down and x-ray, they have an x-ray thing for the decking and all that. You've gotta do a lot of research before you can make that determination.
So, help us out. Is the wording in this article then correct?
Yes, because when we go out to bid for it, and it's whatever company decides to bid on it is going to have to inspect it to do their design, so it's going to be part of their bill that they're sending back. So this was legally written that way on purpose. So it should be, because when they come down to look at it, that's the inspection, if you will. We're not going by, they're going to review the other documents that the other states have gotten,
Correct.
but they have to do their own inspection at the same time. So it was worded that way purposely.
Obviously, when we put it out to bid, there'll be a bid sheet that will go out and we'll lay out what our parameters are of what we want and what we expect.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any further questions or comments? Okay, we're going to ask for a vote. All in favor of Article 42 as written, signify by raising your hand. All opposed? 6-0 approved. The next is Article 43, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $50,000 for a statutory reserve fund pursuant to Maine Revised Statute 30A, to assist road associations in preventing storm runoff pollution from reaching great ponds as authorized by 23 MRSA, paragraph 3106. Road associations formed pursuant to 23 MRSA 3106 or Title 13B are eligible for funding if the requirement of 23 MRSA 3106 are met as determined by the Board of Selectmen and/or the Maine Department of Environmental Protection. The town shall fund proposed repairs until or unless the $50,000 fund is exhausted. Now, from what I gather, this is based on new legislation from the 128th session of the legislature, and I know Mr. Murray is here. Does he want to say?
Need a motion.
Does he want to say something as soon as we vote to discuss it? Do I hear a motion, please?
Make a motion that we adopt the article as drafted. I like it.
There is a motion to accept Article 43. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and now we have a discussion. Mr. Murray?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, town administrator. Arnold Murray, Langley Shores Drive. I lived on Langley Shores Drive since, well, I don't live there, haven't lived there since, but I came here in 1963 and started on Langley Shores Drive. This new law was passed to allow communities to give funds to private roads. Sorry. To help private roads maintain their roads. I have a few pictures of Langley Shores Drive, what we did, only I just had them done up today. You could pass them around, what our roads looked like before. Pass them down later. And what we did to fix it. This one here's the amount of sand that was going in. We used to catch with bales of hay. This is what we put in there. And the last one is how we paved it and put in culverts to catch it. In 2000,
This was paid for by the private road.
yes, this was
And
all,
may I ask how much that you all had to pay out for this particular
I
project?
think it was 18,000.
Okay.
In 2009, there was watershed surveys done around Great East Lake, and it determined, what these watersheds did was determine the amount of pollution running into Great East Lake and how it got there. And if you know what a watershed is, there's a lot of water that goes into the Great East Lake over on Great East Lake on Langley Shores Drive. Every 1 inch of rain is 1.3 million gallons of water that runs down behind the watershed on Langley Shores Drive to get to Great East Lake. That has to either go over Great East Lake or go under in culverts. We were dumping in, they estimate, when they did the watershed survey, that we were dumping in 6 tons of sand in a 3/4 mile road. So, in doing this, we went and met with York County Soil and Water. They came in and did a road survey, and they gave us all the things that we had to fix, the culverts, the ditching, and what we did was we ended up meeting with AWWA and DEP, and together, through the help of Linda Shire, who wrote the grant request, we were able to get a 319 grant to fix part of the road. The rest of the plan from Joe Anderson at York County Soil and Water was we had to fix ourselves. We had to bring in gravel. We had to change out all the culverts. They were not that corrugated steel anymore. They were all the plastic smooth line up to, I think that they're 15 inches, what the BMP is, whatever the...
And this was out of pocket of your association?
Right. We formed a road,
Homeowners?
we formed a road association because we had to fix this, and we live on the lake, and we wanted to stop it.
Absolutely.
So we formed the road association. Actually, we formed it in 2003. And we've fixed the road, and what we do is we have annual maintenance, and this is where this article came in. And we have to, that cement thing that you saw with a storm drain, we have 2 of those. Well, they collect sand. Every few years, we have to pump them out. Just like the town roads, we have to hire somebody to come in to sweep the winter sand off the road and pick it up and take it away. We have to have the ditching done. The side of the road has to be ditched. We have all these maintenance things that we have to do every year. This is what we would come before the selectmen with, an estimate of what we needed to fix our roads. Well, as you know, there's 108 private roads in town. There's no central clearinghouse that tells you how many road associations there are. You form a road association, you just become one, and there's no group, there's no state group that you register with or anything. You don't register with the town, so we have no idea how many private roads have road associations. I know of some that have formed them, but I don't know all of them. So I can only speak about Langley Shores Drive. And we estimate, the reason for this was we were estimating that it only takes 30 days to become a road association. That's all. And it only takes 3 people to make a road association. You have to have 4 dwellings on a road, but you only need 3 people to call for a meeting, and then the meeting votes to whether they want to form a road association. Then they form the road association, then they create bylaws and all the rules of how they're organized and how they're going to fix the road. So this fund that we set up like this, the legal attorney that drew up this thought this is the best way to put it into a statutory fund, so that we don't know how many, once this comes out, if it passes and we get money to fix a private road, there's other private roads that are going to say, hey, I want to form a road association, get money too. So, and the DEP has done all the lakes, watershed survey of all the lakes in Acton, Maine, except for Balch. And around Mousom and Loon Pond was just finished last fall, so I don't know if the final figures are out of what roads are polluting and where the high pollution is. And the way this, like I say, the way it would work is we will get estimates every year of what it's going to be for us to maintain the road, and then we come before the selectmen and ask them for money to grant us out of this fund to help with maintaining the road.
Yes, Mr. Gordon?
I guess I'm a little confused, and maybe the selectmen can help straighten us out here. The fund that is proposed to be formed is a capital improvement fund, and that doesn't cover maintenance. And you are talking about costs for maintenance, so I guess.
Do you have a legal opinion?
Yeah, I have the legal opinion, and
Go
I
ahead,
also
keep
have the
going.
law. The law says, I think the law says repairs and maintenance.
Okay, the 5801-1 is a capital improvement fund, but we can look at this in more detail later on. Unless you have some enlightenment, Jen, here.
Well, no, I mean, this was presented to the Board of Selectmen via petition. It was drafted by their attorney. We sent it over to Burke and Clegg, our attorney, and he reviewed the entire article, and he referenced Title 23, Section 3016 that allows this. So we've got a copy here if you would like it, but it's certainly a legal article.
I'd like to see that.
Sure.
But you don't have to get it right now.
Okay. Anybody else want a copy? I can either email it or make copies.
Tell me about the monies. The original draft of the articles had a larger figure.
Right.
That was decided it wasn't necessary this first year, or how did that work?
No, that was done by the selectmen.
I see.
They thought they would cut it down because we estimated, it was just an estimate from us, and we put it at that figure, anticipating, well, this, from what we understood, was that it would be in this fund, and that fund would stay there, and we would draw of it over the years.
Of course,
And
other funds,
we wouldn't have to come back.
other
and-
monies can be put into it, though, as you understand it, right? This is a statutory account, so it's always going to be there, and you can always ask for more monies to be put into it each year, each fiscal year.
No, I thought they were gonna put in, what we originally asked for was $150,000 to be put in there, and then we would
150. Okay.
just draw off from that until it was gone, and then we would have to come back again at some time and do it. We were trying to do this so we didn't have to come back every year and do this.
And of course, this is just the start of this. I understand probably what the Board of Selectmen was thinking of. Perhaps the administrator can help us.
Yeah, so essentially, when the board first received the budgets from every department head and the petition, we were over $400,000 of an increase, and they looked at, 50 to 60 cents tax increase. This is including, everything that everybody originally wanted. So they went through and cut about $250,000 down. So the way the warrant is now, if everything passes, you're still looking at a 25 cents tax increase. So the board cut it the 100,000 down with the idea, this particular board, if it stays the way it is, that they would move forward with another 50,000 next year if the organization so chose.
So with this type of a statutory reserve fund, that will stay in until it's removed by the town. In other words, at the turn of this century, sometime in 2099, it will still be here, even though we won't be. So all you're going to have to do is, if this is a really active program and you're finding and working with AWWA and others to find the contamination sites, means that you can come back next year and ask the Board of Selectmen and the Warrant and Finance Committee to approve putting new funds into it in addition to what you may have left, a few dollars and cents from the old appropriation. So all you have to do is come back and ask for more money. You don't have to ask for a new fund.
Well, we don't know, like I said, we don't know where it's going, but I can some of the reports right here that I've found from the state of Maine, water quality affects property prices, a case study of Maine lakes. When the water quality goes down
Yes.
from pollution and dirt going in there, the cost goes down.
Well, no question, this is a benefit for the
There's
town.
another one, camp roads, highways to pollution,
Mhm.
state of Maine DEP. I mean, everybody knows this is happening. What it's gonna cost to fix it, we have no idea.
So my question is, are you contented right now with the 50K?
We have to be
Okay.
contented with it.
Okay.
So we'll work with it from there, and if we have to
Okay.
come back
That's
next
fine.
year,
For more monies, but you don't have to change the fund itself. The fund itself is here forever,
okay.
okay?
Yeah, we're all newbies at this.
Clarification. Is this fund going to be exclusively for Langley Shores, or can other
Oh,
roads?
no, oh, no, no,
So-
oh, no.
Road
All, it's
associations
private roads,
that are,
all the private roads in town, and there's 108 of them.
Who have road associations?
Huh?
Who have road associations?
who have road
It has
associations.
to have, oh yeah, it has to have a road association, and you have to have documentation of.
That you've met these qualifications that are
Right.
listed in the
Yeah.
article.
Like, I mean, when we did ours, I happened to bring it, but I mean, they give you a non-point solution site report of where you're polluting when they do that watershed survey. I mean, the survey is, when they did the survey, I was part of the survey team. You go and walk every single property and every single road, and you write down where you see ruts and rills and everything else, and you write it down, and then it goes to some guy that puts in the numbers into an algorithm, and out pops the pollution.
Do you have any other questions or comments?
Actually, I have.
Whose?
My biggest thing, okay, this is actually gonna be in the rollover fund, so no matter what's in there, it's gonna roll over the following year, right? It's my
It's a
understanding.
statutory
Okay,
fund, it'll be
that-
there.
That's fine. And I was gonna say, if you don't, if whatever you use, like he said, will always be there. So if you decide you only wanna add 5,000 next year, you come to us and say, this is it, or we don't wanna do nothing because we're fine. That's what we're trying to clarify.
It won't go away.
Is it won't go away. It will be there. It's just a matter of how, how it's used and utilized. Do you understand that a little bit better now?
Yeah, I understand it now.
Any other comments or questions?
I think the advantage of this is, I understand that the way this is set up, this could be used also for planning, which has been a big roadblock in getting and moving forward with this. And the way things were constructed before, you had to have a plan before you could get approval for something. As I envision this working, part of the planning process could be paid for from this fund as well as capital improvements. I do think there's clarification required with respect to capital improvements versus maintenance, and I'm going to investigate that further, but I'll
This
discuss it.
is very exciting because it's a new realm of helping the town, of helping private road associations.
Yeah.
So, any other
Are necessary.
questions or comments to Mr. Murray? Thank you so much for elucidating all of this for us.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments by the committee? If not, all in favor of Article 43 as written, please raise your hand. Any opposition? Approved 6-0. Okay,
Mr. Chair, if I
Yes,
may interrupt.
yes, ma'am.
So my apologies that I need to scoot out early. I actually just found out about this evening's meeting late this afternoon. And unfortunately, I had a prior commitment that I can't get out of. So
We appreciate,
my apologies to the
appreciate
committee,
your
my
showing up.
apologies to the town. I wish I could stay, but again, I just found out about this meeting around 4 o'clock today, so.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Sarah. All right, then next is Article 44. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $278,390 for the operation of the transfer station.
It went down, but I was wondering why it went down if they're planning on, paving.
Excuse me, maybe it's a separate order.
Separate article.
Thank you. I just wanted to.
And the hazardous waste day has been removed.
Thank you,
And what, the hazardous waste has been removed?
thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Recommend approval of Article 44 as written, and yes, that's a motion.
That's a motion and seconded. If there's no other discussion, all in favor of approving Article 44 as written, signify by raising your hand. Any opposition? 6-0 approved. Ms. Rue? Did Ms. Rue go?
She's up.
She's out there, so she'll be fine.
All right, the next one. Article 45, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $63,000 to pave the parking lot at the transfer station.
Recommend
That last vote
approval-
was 6-0 in favor. Okay,
Recommend approval of Article 45 as written.
is that a motion?
That is in fact a motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 45 as written. Any comments or questions? Everybody who
Thank you.
comes into the transfer station realizes that there's some asphalt that probably needs to be put in there. If there are no other comments or questions, all in favor of approving Article 45 as written, signify by raising your hand. Any opposition? Approved 6-0.
We did this before, didn't we?
Article 46, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $250 for general operation of the Conservation and Forestry Committee and to carry forward any unexpended funds. Do I hear a motion to accept this?
Make a motion to accept Article 46 as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
What do they have in their balance?
Nothing now. This is basically for paperwork. So if they have to have anything paperwork shuffled or done and so on and so forth.
She asked what the balance was.
At this point, my knowledge is no.
Is there a balance in this so far?
I believe it's close to zero as well. The money that, for Goat Hill was used out of their forestry account.
Was this on the list originally as far as carryovers?
I'd have to look at last year's warrant.
Okay, that's all right. I
Did
just thought you might know.
No, I don't
Is this,
know.
this is a new carryover then probably?
I'll have to look.
No,
Give me a
it's not a
couple minutes.
carryover from last year.
Okay, so we're starting to carry over an awful lot of stuff. Oh, anyway. Yeah, 250 is a small amount, I agree. Any other comments or questions? All in favor of approving Article 46 as written, please signify by raising your hand. Any opposition? Approved 6-0. Article 47, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $3,000 for the cost of a forest management plan on town forest land located on tax map 245, lot 002, and to approve that any unexpended funds, as well as any potential revenues generated from future timber harvesting activities on this parcel are to be placed into the forestry reserve account. Boy, that is a German sentence. It goes on forever. Okay. Is there a motion to accept this?
Move approval of Article 47.
It's been moved. Is there a second? No second?
I think we had a concern with,
Okay.
I will second the motion for discussion purposes.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we accept Article 47 as written. It's open for discussion and questions.
If I may, I don't have a problem with raising and appropriating $3,000 for the forestry, or the forest management plan for the town forest land. My problem with this article exists with the words that follow, as in any unexpended funds, as well as any potential revenues generated from future timber harvesting activities on this parcel to be placed in the forestry reserve account. I have great disagreement with that. That's town land. If there are any funds generated from timber harvesting, it should go into the undesignated fund. We all own that land. Each taxpayer owns that land. Why it should go to the forestry reserve account, I don't agree with it.
Okay.
That's my objection to that article.
And I object to that same reason.
Is there any further discussion or questions?
I do have a question.
Ma'am, go.
Yeah. So the land is going to be logged, they sell it.
Possibly.
What do you
Possibly we log. They're gonna have to take the
Poss-
$3,000 to go and estimate.
figure it out?
Figure it out.
Okay. So say they do log it and they sell it, that money would not go to the taxpayers, but would rather go into just their account?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what are they gonna do with that?
Go on from there,
Go buy Goat Hill again.
for all I know.
Sorry. I don't agree with that purchase either.
All right, any further questions or comments? All in favor of Article 47 as written signify by raising your hand. Any opposition? It's opposed, 0-6.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion
Yes,
that we recommend amending the article to delete.
You were supposed to make that before.
No, I'm sorry, the motion failed. Point of order here, the motion failed. We have not approved any motion. We can move forward with a recommendation
True.
now.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
That was same before, but
Go ahead.
I let it go.
Go ahead, Tom.
make a motion, Tom.
I make a motion that we recommend amending this article to delete all portions of the article following Lot 002.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve Article 47 that's amended to delete all wording that occurs after the semicolon in Lot 002. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor of this Article 47 as the amendment is stated, signify by raising your hand. All opposed? Approved 6-0
As amended.
as an amended 47. Did you get that, Miss?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next one is Article 48, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $538 for planning and development to be expended as forester's stipend,
Same as last year.
same as last year. Is there a motion to accept?
Motion to approve the article as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
The article has been approved and seconded. Any further discussion? It's unchanged from last year.
It's unchanged.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor of approving 48 as written, signify by raising your hand. All opposed? Approved, 6-0. Article 49, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate up to $311,000, $311,610 for county tax. That's a 3% tax they put on us, and it gets bigger every year. And all we get is, I guess, a county court and a jail.
It's gone up just
But
about
it seems
$10,000.
terribly expensive, and we have no
Motion to
Option.
accept the article as written.
Second.
A move to accept the article as written. It's been seconded. Any further discussion?
What
You
if we
can't
don't vote?
fight the
What if
taxes.
we don't accept it?
We can't.
We can't attack
You're
it.
not-
There's
Then
not
why
even,
vote on it?
there's not even a requirement that this be on the warrant.
That's right.
I think.
They can take it.
Yeah, take it off.
They-
So all in favor,
Stay
signify by raising your hand. All opposed, approved.
Gotta pay your taxes.
Yeah,
Yeah, they went up about $10,000.
yep, 3%
That's because they're moving
to the
all of the
Biddeford.
services to Biddeford, just about.
Okay, Article 50, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate $2,800 for cemetery maintenance, placement of flags, markers, and repair of veterans' graves to carry forward any unexpended funds. And this is one in which Ms. Michaud can in fact
I will abstain.
abstain from voting.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to accept this article?
Mr. Chair, I also
He also will abstain.
abstain.
Move to approve the article.
It's
as
been moved. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Seconded. Any further discussion?
We will answer all questions if you want, but we only went up like $50, and we did go over the 1.5%.
So was this the budget that you all had put together and submitted?
We actually wanted a little bit more, but because they put restraints on how much we could actually go up, we decided as a group this would be sufficient.
Okay, so you're happy with this one?
Not happy, but
Well,
okay.
we're not unhappy then?
No, no.
All right. Any further comments or
I have a
questions?
couple questions.
All right.
Oh, I'm gonna beat you, Tommy. That's every year.
Go
What
ahead.
is the unexpended balance at this point in time, and what do we have for a plan for it? Because I know that there,
Now, you gotta remember, this comes in two sections. What we have, that you guys have given us.
Yeah.
We have probably just shy, a little over $1,000.
that's all there is now in
That's
there.
all there is. But we also have 6 that is set up for, that we can't touch, that all we do is earn the interest because the town owns
Okay.
the lots. So, and that's a little over $3,000, but that can only be spent on those on those 6
Maintained.
cemeteries.
All right,
And
so
that-
basically, something.
That money comes from cemeteries that people have said,
They've actually given to the
Perpetual
town or
care.
rolled over to the town, or the town has said, yeah, we'll take the deeds and so on. There might be some in the future that we may have to do the same with. We're looking at 2 right now that are possible, that we might have to also put towards the town, but that's not right now.
So basically, you're carrying about $1,000 in undesignated funds at this point in time,
Roughly.
and you have roughly $3,000 that you are limited to what you can,
Exactly.
they're restricted, basically.
Exactly, I can only use the
All right. Any other comments or questions? All in favor signify by raising your hand. All opposed?
2 abstentions.
Okay, so that's 4-0.
So your alternates voted, so are we doing?
Yeah, we voted.
Oh, you voted. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3. I didn't know.
Tom didn't
Five.
put his hand up, I don't think.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-0,
5-0.
and 2 abstains.
No, you can't have that.
No, no, no.
You have to have a
I
total
know, but,
of 6.
well,
And
one of
the
5 in
question-
this case, because you have a
The
member that
question
left.
is, if you're abstaining because you're the chair of that committee, then you're not voting, you're participating. I have no problem with one of the alternates to vote in that.
So one of the alternates took Miss Sarah's spot.
Let's take a vote again
Right,
then.
the 2 of them abstained.
we
So the 2 of
abstained
us voted.
because we're on the committee.
Well, I'm not sure that it works that way.
No.
No. I mean, if you have a 6-member board for during the
Yes.
meeting, then, I mean, the vote would be,
6,
3-0-2, because you have 2 abstentions.
yes.
One of them can fill in for Sarah because she's physically gone now.
That's correct.
But I'm not sure that they can do it the
Yeah.
other way.
I agree with you.
So it's going to be
All right.
4-0-2. So 4 in favor, nobody against, 2 abstentions.
Thank you. It's hard to explain that type of deal, but I've abstained every year that I've been.
All right, now that's 50. Now going through from 51, we've already done all of these on page 31 and 32,
33, Will.
and we go to 33. Now on 33,
Sorry.
if you see Article 72, that is now 74, is that
Wait a
it?
minute, where are we?
Where are we?
Right here. I think we're on Article 71, aren't we?
71.
No,
We do dams last
We
week.
we
Okay,
did
all right,
dams.
Then we're at 72.
All right.
right?
We're at Article
Number
72, to
70.
see if the town will vote to to carry forward the following fund balances and allow balances carried forward to be appropriated to the designated department for the ensuing year. Cemetery Fund, District 1 and 2 road surfacing, District 1 and 2 summer maintenance, FEMA forestry, gravel processing, and LRAP. All right.
Motions first.
Is there a motion to accept the article first?
The article's still going. And to carry
Oh,
forward.
and to carry forward but not appropriate. That's right. Appropriated in other articles, the following fund balances, and they list the fund balances: ambulance reserve, capital improvement, dams capital improvement, forestry reserve, fire department capital
one's struck.
improvement, and recreation capital improvement. Now, what has been removed by the Board of Selectmen on this draft is the capital improvement from the Fire and Rescue Department for the new roof, since the,
No,
oh,
For the building,
for the building.
the anticipated
No.
repairs that
Fire
were
department
needed.
capital improvement,
It's for
which
that
you wanted to use for
$5,000
emergency
that they
maintenance at
want.
$5,000.
Yes, that was the roof.
Right, well,
No.
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 What was it for?
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
for his emergency
The way,
maintenance.
Will, the
You.
way it is written on the article, Fire Department Capital Improvement Fund, in
Right.
parentheses, truck.
What?
Yes.
That is what has been removed, if I am not mistaken. Correct, Mr.
That one appears.
Okay,
down here.
stop.
It's $5,000.
It's a.
The article that you had last week said it had fire department capital improvement in that new account that the fire department asked for $5,000 that we removed from the warrant altogether because we determined it was really an emergency building maintenance account that we removed from the warrant. That's what was taken off. The truck fund stays.
And that was when he said it might just be that the roof will give in, and we said if it does, let us know.
Correct. There was a list of things he thought could have happened, and the roof was one.
Yes.
I did.
All right. So that's been removed from this.
Who made the motions at this point? Anybody?
No, we're just going through it now. We're just going through it now. The other thing is that the gravel processing is on this one,
Right.
and that's one that was recommended to be deleted.
And you were talking about where Scott was doing his carryover on
It's
this.
carryovers from District 1. So how do you want to do this? You want to just go through all of them, a line item?
Probably be your best bet.
Probably the best bet.
You can't do line item.
Why not?
How are you gonna do a line item on an
Because we don't-
article?
We know that the cemetery's staying.
It's not broken down line item.
It was broken down by listings.
We can do it by listings. Because if we're gonna remove, if you're gonna do Scott's.
Does that mean that you have to approve all of them or disapprove all of them? It shouldn't be.
Why don't you just make an amendment to include the ones that you want?
The ones that we want. That sounds like, yes, Cor.
Okay, I think if we're going to amend this, and I can see some areas to do it, then we ought to vote down. We have a motion on the floor, we don't?
No,
motion
no
at this
motion
point.
yet.
So why are we discussing this?
Because it's so complicated.
Make a motion that we approve the article as amended,
Not as, we haven't amended.
We haven't amended it yet, though.
We have
as
to
it
vote,
will be amended.
we have to vote it down. We have to vote it down, and then we can go.
No.
All right, fine.
No. Let's discuss this, because this is very complicated the way it's listed. Now, we got all these things, and we know that some of the things we want to get rid of here, and we don't want to get rid of all of them. So the question is, let's go through the list of things that we want to consider to be deleted from this list. First, the cemetery fund. Does anyone want to get rid of that one?
Oh, hell, yes.
I worked hard.
Little jocularity helps, okay. District 1 and 2 road surfacing and construction, we've already voted that District 1 is out at the present time. Is that correct? District 1 and 2 for summer maintenance, we've decided again that District 1 is out, at least for the time being. FEMA emergency, I think there's no question about that one. It's Forest and Conservation Committee, any problems there?
That's a rollover from last time. They don't have a lot to roll over, I know that much.
Okay, and we know the gravel processing has been deleted. or suggested to be deleted. And then the LRAP funds are state funds, and I don't think we have any say-so in that one, do we? If we want to have them?
I believe they're carried over every year.
Yeah. Okay. And then to carry over but not appropriate unless previously appropriated in other articles, the following: the ambulance reserve fund. Is that one carried over?
Mhm.
And how much is in there now approximately?
I'm not the treasurer, I don't have the numbers in front of me.
Okay. Capital improvement fund, this is the general capital improvement
Yes.
fund, right?
Yeah, that one does
That's
have,
the 15,000, as I remember?
no, it's got more,
More
probably
than that?
28 in it,
How much?
28,000.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, the four that were carried over last year was capital improvement fund, the dams capital improvement fund, the fire department capital improvement fund for the truck fund, and the recreation department. After that, the rest of them are new.
The forestry reserve,
It's due.
didn't we just
Just
talk
do
about
that?
that one?
Yeah,
Didn't
but
we?
it wasn't carried over from last year.
No, but didn't we take that one out?
In your motion on that article,
On
you
the
did, yes.
motion, on the article?
Yes.
So that one was one, if we're going to be consistent, has to be deleted, right?
Assume so.
Okay. And then the dams capital improvement fund, and the ambulance reserve fund were there last year as well?
I got capital, dams, fire department with the truck fund, and,
And you have ambulance?
nope, it was not there last year.
Is ambulance new?
Right here on the paper.
Yeah, I have to look.
Okay.
Is that the old ambulance reserve?
We just purchased one, so it's possible that there was no money to roll over. So
Okay, but it doesn't mean that
it doesn't mean, I mean, if it's listed on there, let's see.
it doesn't mean that it can't be rolled over.
So you're looking at Article 69?
This is Articles,
No, from last year, I'm sorry.
Sam, I'm looking right at it.
Article 69, the first one, mine says ambulance reserve fund.
Not on this book. Sorry.
But not appropriate is
Right
not on
there.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was down here that this,
You
see
carried
how
it
the
forward.
difference is?
voting to carry it forward. This is a different, it's in the record, it's on
okay, so it was on there last year?
They moved it from one.
So the only one of those in the second group is the forestry reserve fund, which we've already given our opinion on. So, now, I would like to hear a motion for Article 72 to be accepted as approved, and then I expect to hear a motion for amendments.
There's more on the next page, you saw that, right?
Oh, goodness. The following non-fiduciary funds will automatically carry forward and be expended.
Not
Oh.
really something, yes.
Right, but I
It
just
is,
wanna-
it is included in the article, but it's not something that
Just
we
wanted to
should
make
be
sure
worried
it's
about.
concerned about.
Yeah, we're not worried about these, okay. So may I hear a motion to accept Article 72 as written, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Article 72 be approved as written. I will now hear a motion to
No, we're gonna vote on that. Or comment on it, then vote on it.
comment on it, and if you want to make a motion for amendment, you have to do it now, and that vote takes precedent over the final, yes.
We can vote this down, and then we can.
Okay, if you're going to vote it all down,
But this is gonna be really messy.
yes, it's very messy, there's no way to do it cleanly, except that I would accept motions as an amendment to take out ones that we've already looked at here, which is District 1 gravel processing and forestry reserve fund. And
So
then
moved.
it's been moved that we delete District 1 gravel processing and forestry reserve fund. Is there a second to that motion?
It's a recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that this is amendments that will delete District 1 gravel processing and forestry reserve fund from all the lists that are present in Article 72. If there's any further discussion on this, all in favor signify by raising your hand.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You can't have two motions.
Yes, you're voting first on the amendments to the article that we've approved, and then we'll vote for the article as amended.
You had a motion to approve Article 72
As written.
as written,
And then
and
we
it was
have
seconded.
And then we
So
have
you
an
have-
amendment to change it in the discussion. The amendment takes precedent. We will then vote for the amendment and then vote for the article as amended.
Mr. Chair, can we ask the manager what she would suggest at this point to make this more?
I mean, for consistency, you should vote down the first article, but at the end of the day, these are just recommendations that are going on
Right.
a warrant. This is not in a meeting where Robert's Rules of Order has to be followed. I mean, my
But
understanding.
amendment should be voted on before
No, it should, the first article, I believe the first one should have been voted down first, but nevertheless, the recommendation that I'm gonna type on there is that the Warrant and Finance recommends to see if the town will vote to carry forward the following fund balances. It's gonna say Cemetery Fund, District 2 Road Surfacing and Reconstruction, District 2 Summer Maintenance, FEMA, Forestry and Conservation, LRAP funds, and then to carry forward but not appropriate ambulance, capital, dam, fire department, and recreation. As soon as you vote on that, that will be the recommendation printed.
You deleted
You deleted
the
one.
forestry reserve, is that on the second? Okay.
Yes, I
Okay.
deleted that and the District 1s and the gravel processing,
That's
just
what
as
you
you.
have, that's what you have drafted right now?
That's it.
That's
Uh,
fine.
Mr. Chairman, I would
Yes.
suggest that we have Ms. Rue read her recommendation into
Fine.
it, and we can vote on that.
Okay, would you go ahead, please, and read it out one more time?
And that's just.
I told you, you're better off.
Warrant and Finance recommends to see if the town will vote to carry forward the following fund balances and allow the balance carry forward to be appropriated to the designated department for the ensuing year. Cemetery Fund, District 2 Road Surfacing and Reconstruction, District 2 Summer Maintenance, FEMA Emergency Disaster Reserve Fund, Forestry and Conservation Committee, LRAP funds, and to carry forward but not appropriate unless previously appropriated in other articles the following fund balances: Ambulance Reserve Fund, Capital Improvement Fund, Dams Capital Improvement Fund, Fire Department Capital Improve Fund for the truck, and Recreation Capital Improvement Fund.
All right. As read, may I hear a motion?
You have it.
Motion to accept
Second,
as read.
As read,
seconded.
seconded. Any further discussion, please
Well
say
done.
no. All in favor signify by raising your hand. All opposed. Okay, the next is Article 73, which is the old 75. To see if the town will vote to accept any and all funds received from the state of Maine and the federal government and appropriate any designated revenues received to their designated use. That's a routine one. May I hear a motion?
Motion to accept Article 73 as written.
It's been moved. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor signify by raising your hand. All opposed? Approved 6-0. Article 74, which is the old 76, to see if the town will vote to appropriate up to $737,750 from fiscal year 18-19 municipal revenues to reduce the amount to be raised by taxation during the tax commitment.
Motion to accept Article 74 as written.
Is there a second?
Second,
Any further questions or discussions?
it's gone up.
It's going up. All in
That's good.
Taxes
in
are going
favor?
up.
Right up.
Signify by raising your hand. All opposed. Approved 6-0. Article 75, which is the old 77, to see if the town will vote to appropriate excess funds from the municipal undesignated fund balance to reduce the amount to be raised by taxation during the tax commitment contingent on the municipal fund balance policy and there being a surplus at the end of the fiscal year.
Motion to accept the article as written.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded to accept Article 75. Any questions or discussion? Mr. Gore, you're scribbling very, very ferociously. You have to.
No comment.
You want to share your
No,
scribble
no,
with
no,
us?
No?
Okay. Nothing else? All in favor of 75, please raise your hand. All opposed? 6-0.
Wrong. 5-1.
5. I apologize.
Mr. Gore voted no.
Excuse me,
Wasn't my
Thomas.
intent, I thought I put my hand up.
all right,
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. All opposed?
Thank you.
thank you.
I saw your hand.
Getting late, guys. Article 76, which is the old 78, to see if the town of Acton will authorize the transfer of excess funds from the school's undesignated fund balance to reduce the amount to be raised by taxation during the tax commitment contingent on the Acton School Department fund balance policy and there being a surplus at the end of the fiscal year. May I have a motion to accept as
Motion
written?
to accept the article.
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion or question on this one? This is the last one, ladies and gentlemen, for this fiscal year's budget. If there aren't, I ask for a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, no. Approved 6-0. That ends our job so far, unless the Board of Selectmen make additional changes. If you make additional changes after we count the remaining members who have not yet committed suicide by hanging, we will get together and convene again and go over those changes.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Thank you all. Did you have anything, Jen?
Jen, do you